Guys, welcome back. It's Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Disney parks. We're going to talk about Disney parks attendance decline. It's worse than people are making it out to be.
Well, it's worse than certain blogs and spin people are making it out to be.
Spin doctors, the Disney, the friendly media, and the Disney spin doctors. It's way worse than people are making it out to be. So, it's so bad, in fact, that one of Disney's top travel agents, Pete Werner, who runs the Diz boards, came out last week on a podcast and said that Disney is desperate. They're desperate.
Yeah, we're hearing this from other travel agents too. We know several, and they're all saying the same thing, that everything's down. There's lots of reasons for that. Them raising prices and people worried about a recession among the top reasons, but
that is a huge reason. We've got Disney cast members coming to us behind the scenes and telling us how bad it actually is. And of course, these people work at Disney, so they can't come out and say,
right. Hi, by the way,
you know who you are, and there are quite a few of you actually. But they can't come out and say how bad things actually are. So it's kind of up to, I guess, YouTubers and other blogs that aren't on the take to tell people what's actually going on. And I think in Pete Werner's case, he is the top travel agent in the country. So I don't think he cares. I think he's like, my business is hurting because of you guys making stupid decisions.
Here's the thing though, when you are one of the top travel agents and you're the one out there doing the work for them to get bookings and stuff, one, it hurts his business, but two, how does it benefit anybody to lie? How does it benefit? How can anything be? That's what I don't understand about how you cannot hear any criticism. Is how can you improve it and fix the problem if you refuse to acknowledge that there is a problem?
Because it's Disney, and we know firsthand, I've talked to lots of people who work at Disney, that Disney, they cannot digest bad news. They're completely incapable of it.
They used to be able to.
They used to actually take adversity and turn it into something positive, or be like, well, this didn't work, let's try something else. Walt was very good at that. Roy was good at that. Modern day Disney, though, we know from talking to people who work there,
I was saying, when their marketing department's run by, someone who just graduated from college, what do you expect?
Yeah, right.
I think that Instagram's the best thing ever. I would expect nothing less. Anyway.
But we know from talking to people at Disney that when they do their rah-rah meetings, you have to give a positive. And I think Disney is so used to hearing positives, they're so used to being on a winning streak, that the losing streak they've been on with some of their IPs and with the parks, this is totally alien to them. They don't know how to deal with it.
It reminds me, in general, and it's ironic because it's probably led by those people, but it reminds me of, this whole participation trophy culture where you cannot tell kids that, the truth, that you have to always, you're the bestest, you're the smartest, and they can't handle any kind of disappointment in life. And that's what this reminds me of. But anyway, let's get back to the point, which is...
Well, the point is this video. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the problems. Before we get into the video, we got a couple of things. One, this is off of Pirates and Princesses, which is Geeky's objective.
It is.
Completely objective, completely not bought and paid for Disney and Universal theme park blog.
If I say there's something I like, I will say I like it. Or something I think is wrong, I will say it's wrong.
So that is objective. She is objective. If you want to subscribe on Facebook or like it on Facebook, it'd be appreciated.
Do.
Trying to get things up and running. This is actually how we got into covering Disney parks.
Right.
Was the
Pirates
podcast.
And Princesses, yeah.
The Pirates and Princesses podcast, which led to us working on another Disney blog for a number of years. And of course, we parted ways, not by our choice, but we did over the summer. So now Geeky's going to go back to blogging, and she's going to be honest.
I am.
So as most people would expect.
Before we get into the video too much, make sure you subscribe.
Subscribe. We hit 60,000 subs. We're hoping for 100,000 by the end of the year. Don't know if it's possible, but it would be appreciated because the way YouTube's algorithm is set up now, the only way we're going to get found is if we get more subs and get more traction. It's weird. They keep changing things. And unfortunately, it does penalize smaller channels. I mean, I feel bad for people just getting into YouTube now because all these algorithm changes,
right.
It makes it very hard
So
to.
like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
Boom.
Help grow the reef.
Stop shilling and let's move on.
All right, so we're going to stop the shill. Okay, so we do talk about Disney. It is part of the pop culture landscape. It is something we know quite a bit about.
We do.
And this was very interesting. I had a friend of mine reach out and say, hey, did you hear Pete Werner's new podcast? And I'm like, no, what's going on? It's like, well, Pete's on a tear. I'm like, well, Pete goes on a tear often. Well, Pete's on a tear because the bookings are down, like, substantially. Like,
right.
Things are bad. And he does. He goes on for about 17 minutes about how bad things are right now, especially at Walt Disney World, which we heard that Walt Disney World was going to do so much better than Disneyland when it came to Galaxy's Edge. And it's not. So let's get into this, and we'll actually touch on a few things here that Geeky has covered in terms of cutbacks, are already cutting back on things.
Well, some of the things, to be fair, though, I think they were going to end anyway because they were like a limited run. But go ahead.
Yeah, usually this is the time of year, though, we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year, and this is when they're going to start
The next
chopping
month's going to be interesting, I think.
October is going to be really interesting.
It's going to be real interesting, but go ahead.
Okay, so when the co-owner of the top Disney travel agency in the country says Disney parks attendance is way down, then parks attendance is down, despite what the Disney PR spin doctors would have you believe. Because there are a lot of blogs out there like, no, everybody, this is great. This is supposed to be this way.
I'm so tired of hearing...
low crowd.
You know, if you say anything that isn't in step with them, that you're just negative. You need too much negativity. No, honesty and negativity, as I said many times before, are not the same thing. They're not the same thing. And in our case, we don't want the parks to close, so we're not trying to be negative. We're trying to make improvements. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when he uses language saying that Disney parks are desperate to drive traffic, you better listen. It's likely going to be bad news for cast members.
Yeah.
We're already hearing it is. We've got people coming to us, and they're like, they're cutting our hours back. We don't know if we're going to have a job next month. It's bad.
That's where my heart is, because the cast members, and I said it before and I'll say it again, they're who make the park awesome. And they don't get enough credit, and now they have to worry about their jobs, too, on top of everything else, and do it with a smile and make your trip magical for you.
Yeah, we've already seen Disney trim down its offerings. They canceled the Muppets, which I love this.
Yeah,
the Muppets.
They canceled the Muppets.
Yeah.
They canceled the go down. They canceled the Royal Majesty Makers. Now these guys were awesome. That you might not have seen them. They were in Fantasyland. They went around. They actually when we took Pinky Boo to Bibbidi Bobbidi. They were in there talking to her, making her laugh, and they were great. The Move It, Shake It, Parade is still there, but they took it down from 3 shows to 2. But that also could be because we're going into
seasonal,
fall.
Yeah.
The DJ's Ready Set Dance Party. Again, this is another one I think they might have just taken down because it was temporary, because they were just using it to, outside of the Lightning McQueen thing. And same for the Super Shindig Dance Party. I never thought it was going to be a permanent thing. That could just be a seasonal. It's ending.
I think with Galaxy's Edge open, they were kind of trying to get rid of that. But usually the first people to get cut when they do this, and they did this in Disneyland too, are live performers.
Usually, yes.
They usually cut. So we're talking cast members who could potentially be out of a job because Disney got greedy. So we're seeing them trim the offerings already. If Pete Werner is correct, winter may be coming to Disney parks after the Q4 earnings reports are in.
You can't keep taking all the money for Disney Plus and not expecting something to happen. And raising the prices they're about to pay for it.
No, I said, sorry, Pixie Dusters. There's no spoonful of sugar that can make this medicine go down any smoother. Disney parks attendance is in trouble.
You're assuming it goes down that way. I'm just saying.
All right, so this is coming from Pete Werner, the co-owner of Dreams Unlimited Travel, which is the top
by a lot.
By a lot. The top travel agency in the country. He owns a Disboard. He owns a WW Info. So he's been doing us for over 20 years.
Pete Werner knows his stuff.
He does know his stuff. He plainly stated what a lot of us have known to be true for quite some time. Disney parks attendance is way down. And Disney might have brought this upon themselves due to all the recent price increases.
Said, Disney Plus doesn't, has to pay for itself somehow. Paying for Fox had to come from somewhere.
So he talked about the much talked about attendance decline from the perspective of a travel agent and Disney fan site owner. This is what he said. Every time there's a price increase, every time there is what we would term a money grab.
Yep, that's what we call it too.
Money grab by Disney. The question gets asked, at what point is it just going to be too much?
And we say the same thing every time we hear this. Like, when are people going to say that enough's enough? We say this all the time too.
I think it's this year. I
think they found it.
And this comes after, and we'll talk about that, the annual pass increases and just them kind of nickel and diming people in anticipation of Galaxy's Edge. They thought that it was money in the bank, and it turned out to not be.
Galaxy's Edge merchandise, from the time Disneyland opened to the time Disney World opened, we already saw the merchandise got in prices. Like, some of the merchandise started at one price, they went up $2 or $3 here. Some of them like $10 on items before it opened at Walt Disney World, because they figured Walt Disney World was going to bring them. Oh, if they didn't hit Disneyland, Disney World for sure is going to do it. And now, granted, it hasn't been open long enough to really see, but they, went ahead and started raising the prices and everything before that happened, and so far it's not that great.
Yeah, so he said that this year was the single largest increase in the price of an annual pass. I mean, it went up like 25%.
It was a lot.
And he said a lot of people just aren't renewing. They're not renewing. They did this in anticipation of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge driving tons of traffic to Disney World. It didn't happen. It's not happening. It is a repeat. Maybe not quite as bad, but it's very similar to what happened in Disneyland, where the crowds just aren't there, and we can prove it with the wait times on the attractions.
Right, but we'll look at it in a minute. But beyond that, they said that they already lifted the cast member blackout dates. Yep. They're already lifted ahead of schedule. They're doing everything they can to get the numbers up. It just isn't there, and it's not necessarily because I think part of it's because people didn't. I'll be honest, they don't want to go to an unfinished park. I mean, if you're gonna make one trip, and I don't know why Disney and some of these travel agencies cannot understand this. People need time to plan a trip. You cannot spring it on them that it's going to be something's going to open in 2 months or something's going to close like next week and expect them all to show up. They need months and months and months and months to plan a trip. Most people can maybe get to go to Disney once every 2 or 3 years. They cannot just drop everything and just go. So they're going to go. They're going to wait until after, the Rise of the Resistance is open. They're going to wait till after the new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is open. Or a lot of them are waiting till the 50th, which is 2021.
Yeah, well, that's where we're going to go, and it gets really interesting. So Warner said that he's ever since they increased the price of the annual passes, he's been getting inundated with emails from Disney featuring unheard of discounts.
And it's true, and we can vouch for this.
Yes, we get them every day, and we're talking 25% off of hotels in Disneyland.
We're talking raising the percentage off.
And we're going to talk about these midday break tickets. Mm-hmm. We talked about this before, where this is, and he said this has never happened. I've never seen it. And it's basically, if you're willing to wait to come in afternoon, you can get the tickets for a fraction of what you would normally pay to get in, like $88 a day or whatever. They're trying to get people to just come in for half a day.
They're saying that. Now, interestingly enough, when it started in August and September, some of those dates you can even get less than that, or you can get around that. But most of the dates are actually a lot more than that. So I'm just saying, they're starting at, but again, it goes by the date when they think would be a busier time.
Right, and Warner said that he's hearing from many people that they haven't been renewing their annual passes. We have
too. We've heard that too.
And he had whatever the Cadillac pass was. Again, he's the top agent.
Yeah, there was one that you can go to Disney World, Disneyland, and all them.
Yeah, it's like $2,500 a year. And he basically said, I'm not renewing it. And he said, when you finally price a guy like me out who does this for a living, you screwed up. Mm-hmm. You've screwed up. They're talking about how Disney World should be very busy this fall. Food and Wine Festival, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, but it's not. Galaxy's Edge opened. They thought this was going to be a slam dunk. It was going to be very busy. We knew things were bad earlier in the year because they had 2 or 3 free dining offers.
They did, and that's unusual.
They only do free dining offers when they don't have as many people in the hotels as they think they should have. And they look at the projected bookings, and they're like, oh, these months are going to be really slow, so let's get some people in there. We'll give them free dining. The fact they did it 3 times in 1 year is bad. Yeah, it's really bad. So we were also talking about the wait times on the rides, right? So this was the middle of the day on a Thursday, and I put this up. Smuggler's Run only had a 35-minute wait. Slinky Dog Dash had a 55-minute wait. Mm-hmm. Then you go over to Universal. Hagrid has a 180-minute wait.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
3 hours.
Bob Chapek, who's in charge of Disney Parks and Resorts, tried to say that was a failure.
Well, originally when it had 10-hour waits, part of the reason it had 10-hour wait times was because the ride kept breaking down. That is not the case now. So people were just waiting 3 hours. And my sister has come back from Disney. Hi, because I know my nephew and her will listen to this. Hi to my nephew as well. They said that it was amazing. She's like, it's arguably one of her best rides she's ever done.
Yeah.
She loved it. Said it was fantastic.
Compare that to the word of mouth around Smuggler's Run, which is it's confusing and it's boring. And a lot of people just don't enjoy it that much.
They'll do it once, but it says it's not one that they'll go do again and again and again.
Because your enjoyment of the attraction depends on whether or not you get stuck with a bunch of idiots in the cockpit with you.
That's true. That is a problem because you don't, if they screw it up, you don't get control over that. You only control what you can control, and you might be paired up with a bunch of people that you don't know. But I was going to say too, Rise of Resistance, as long as they don't cut corners on it, I think it's going to be amazing. I'm not huge on the sequel films, but I think they're going to, what they say they're going to do, it's going to be impressive. But that's if they don't cut corners.
And we've been hearing they're probably going to cut corners. Especially if Q4 doesn't hit,
Yeah.
Because Disney, lately, they used to be like, oh, hey, people aren't digging this. Let's spend more money and make it better. Now they're like, oh, let's just cut
Yeah,
more
don't
stuff.
do that, Disney. If you listen to this, and I know you do, don't do that. Do not cut corners on Rise of the Resistance. If you stick to what your plan is, I don't like the sequels. I mean, I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't like them. It's not because I'm a misogynist. It's not because I've internalized misogyny. Not because I hate strong female leads. I just don't like them. I think there's a lot of problems I'm not going to go into right now. However, if you do the Rise of the Resistance the way you were talking about it and what's been leaked, then I would stick with that because it sounds good. It also could be changed into a classic attraction if needed be. But you need to keep it like it is. If you cut corners on that, you are going to have more problems. Don't cut corners.
Yeah, well, let's see if they listen to Mama Geeky. I don't think they're going to, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So Werner goes on. Obviously, he's a travel agent. They book trips sometimes years ahead of time, and he said that the vacation package sales are down significantly. He works as a co-owner of the top Disney travel agency in the country. If he's telling you that his bookings are down, that means everybody's bookings are down.
It's worrisome enough to him that he's commenting on it.
18 minutes he went on about it.
So it's a problem. If he's worried, I'm sure Disney is.
And he said, anecdotally, I can tell you the traffic's in the parks is lower than we've seen it in a while.
I've heard that. We've seen it.
We've heard that from a lot of people. So it is worse than what Disney is letting on, is what I guess I'm trying to get to.
Well, I mean, they're not going to say everything sucks. I mean,
no,
I wouldn't expect them to.
But I love how they try to spin it. This is what I'm talking about. Like, when the attendants dropped off a cliff at Disneyland in California, they're like, hey guys, guest satisfaction's through the roof. People love it that you can just walk on the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. Come on over to Disneyland.
I mean, as a park attendee, it's a good thing because the crowds are light and it's fantastic if you're visiting. But as a park, if you want the parks to be there long term, you can't keep the crowds this low. Even though they try to argue they did it on purpose.
Oh, I'm going to get to that. So,
crap.
So I had to pull this up. Disney CEO Bob Iger once said they raised prices to control the crowds. But Iger also once said that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge wouldn't need any advertising.
Right, and my next question is, if it's so great and you just did good job, you controlled the crowds, it's amazing. Then why are you flipping out and offering midday price breaks and all these discounts if it was intentional?
Because what happened was they counted their chickens or porgs before they were hatched. They thought that Star Wars was going to be the slam dunk that Harry Potter was at Universal, and there's a lot of factors there. It could have been.
There's so many things I could go. There's a list of what you guys could have done differently, but
there is a laundry list of things. But it didn't land the way they expected it to, and now they're panicking because they're like, crap, we raised all these prices thinking we're gonna have these massive crowds, and now we don't. Like you said, they lifted the cast member blackout dates. There's no wait for Smuggler's Run. There's no wait. It's ridiculous.
It's good if you want to go ride it, though.
Yeah, if you want to ride, it's a good time to go. But so Pete Werner took a dig at it. He said, didn't Galaxy's Edge just open? Wasn't this supposed to be the second coming?
I laughed at that one because remember the joke? There was a joke when they announced Galaxy's Edge. Someone took a picture and they took their rendering, which had like a few people walking around, which turned out to be the truth.
Yeah.
And they actually went and used a program and put a bunch of people in it so you couldn't even walk. And they said it's going to be more like this. But don't you know it? It turned out exactly as Disney predicted, and there wasn't many people there.
So they'll say they meant to do that.
I meant to do that. I know you are, but what am I?
So he said that they're running discounts in Disneyland I've never seen before.
That's true.
Again, 25% off hotels.
Yeah.
Just trying to get people out there. We're hearing from people that downtown Disney, like, people are getting laid off down there.
Well, they aren't getting their hours. They're barely able to survive because they aren't getting their hours and things. So,
and they're the people who are getting hurt the most because
that's just it. You mean the cast members? Well, actually, the people in downtown Disney aren't union, so they, But I'm saying the cast members and those people, they're the ones that you see every day. They're the ones that make the park go. They're the ones who make the guests want to come back. I think they're more to do with it than anybody. And you guys really need to treat them better, for one. But two, you shouldn't have to be worried about whether hours are going to be cut constantly because of bad decisions from higher ups.
It's crazy. And then he ended with, he actually went on more, but this was the biggest takeaway from his 17 or 18 minute rant. They're desperate to get people into the parks. Desperate.
That's true.
Emphasis on desperate. For the top travel agent in the country to say that Disney is desperate at this point. Like, this is a colossal mess. He said it's a perfect storm. And, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe they'll come back next year. No.
I don't think they're going to.
Not what's going to happen.
I think there's a couple of things at play here. I mean, you're gonna read what you're gonna say. Do you want me to say it? Or
you can talk about it.
I think there's a couple of things at play for 2020. One, you have the fact that people are just they price people out. People are just like, I'm at my limit. It's gonna take me longer to go, so I'm gonna save longer. People are waiting for the 50th anniversary, which is 2021. A lot of people have been waiting until the year after 2021 when they think it's gonna be less, but they still get all the 50th anniversary type stuff. You have the fact people are afraid of a recession, and people when they're worried that the money is gonna be tight, they have a choice between paying for their house or paying for their trip. Most people are gonna take paying for their house, unless you're us. But most people are gonna take paying for their house. There's like those things are in play. I mean, you said the construction. A lot of people are just like, I don't want to go down when it's a construction zone. It really isn't that invasive. I mean, it is at Epcot right now a bit, but.
Well, Epcot, yeah, they're redoing everything.
They're going to take down the Fountain Nations. I'm still upset about that. Oh
God, so
sorry, but I am.
So yeah, a lot of people are waiting until 2021. That's the big 50th anniversary. But like you said, a lot of people from listening to this video, there were other travel agents on this video, and they said we have people pushing it back to 2022 or 2023 because they don't want to be there in 2021 when they think it's going to be crazy busy. They're going to wait till everything's done and the crowds have cleared out. And
they can save money. I guess they're going to save money for those 2 or 3 years to take a giant vacation.
Yeah, and then they can go to Epic Universe and go to Nintendo Land.
Right.
Because that'll probably be open about that time. So it's just crazy. And it's got a point where it's even just kind of the mentality where if people think Disney is too expensive, they're not even going to look into it. But even the cheaper resorts, the one agent on that podcast was like, I tried to find people like one night at the Pop Century, which is historically it's a budget
supposedly
resort.
It's what their values.
It's like
it's not anywhere near the value it used to be.
No, but it's usually about $120 to $150 a night. He said he was coming up with $300+ a night on the Pop Century.
Right, and he's right why he said they do that. They do that a lot of times because they're trying to, the longer they're lower the price. And they are trying to do that. But I think it's backfiring on them too because people, can't always stay for more than a couple days. And now you're pricing them out of that too. Now you have to go to the friendly neighbor hotels. Is that what they call them? Friendly neighbor, good neighbor?
Yeah, the ones at Good Neighbor Hotels.
Good Neighbor Hotels. That's what they're, and people are going there. And I recommend that you do that. Honestly, I'm going to recommend that you do that because the prices are so much better. Now, I mean, I love staying in the parks. There's so many perks about staying in the parks that I like. But I'm also like, you know what? As much money as you're going to save, definitely check those out.
Yeah, I would say
I agree with them, 100%.
Yeah, if you're going to, but I think Disney they're gonna start having fire sales. I think it's really gonna depend on where they're at the end of this fiscal year, but they're already having ridiculous deals, probably to get revenue on the books before the end of the fiscal year, so people don't lose their jobs.
The last time I saw them have deals like this was around 2010 or somewhere in there, because remember they were having those promotions where it was kids go for free.
Yeah.
They were having that, you paid for the hotel, but if they were anybody under the age of 9, they gave you free park tickets and all this other stuff. They were doing all kinds of deals like that. And we took the kids then because, I mean, it was like half the price because the kids were free on a lot of stuff. And that's the last time I saw discounts to this level.
Yeah, this is crazy. And if a recession does come next year, they said, Warner was like, it's going to throw a wrench into their plans because they have all this construction going on. All these new projects are working on, all these new rides they're building. And if they get hit with a recession and people just stop coming,
it's going to be like the Pop Century, the early years all over again.
Oh, yeah. What happened with the Pop Century? Well, speaking of the Pop Century, the Pop Century was supposed to be 2 halves. They built 1 half. They let the other half basically rot for years.
It was supposed to be like the 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, or zeros, 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. And it just sat there. And I would have loved to have seen that. I would have loved to have stayed like in the 20s or something like that, It was sat there. And then later when we came into a better economic time, they turned that into the Art Animation Resort. I really wish they would have done the early years with the Pop Century, though. Yeah. That's why the bridge connects them. It was supposed to be the Generation Gap Bridge. That's why it connects the 2 hotels. It was supposed to be 1 hotel. And they ran out of money because the economy went, and then they
2001. Stopped. People just stopped traveling after 9/11, and it took a dive. And it was creepy though because we stayed at the Pop Century. That was like our hotel of choice.
I love the Pop Century.
Yeah, when the kids were smaller, and we used to stay at the Pop Century all the time. But you'd look across the lake and you'd see this empty, dilapidated.
It was weird. It was creepy.
Creepy, overgrown. Now it doesn't take long for things to get overgrown in Florida,
right?
it sat there for about a decade, and it was just, I mean, it was.
And then we were there when
empty.
they were building art animation and stuff. Now we usually go the moderates, the deluxes and stuff too. But we still love the Pop Century. I mean, we'll probably go back there sometime just because the kids love it so much and they miss going there.
Yeah, but it's definitely, things are changing. I think if you're going to want to go to a Disney park, they're going to have some crazy good deals next year. But it looks like a lot of people are staying away. And, this is going to be really interesting to see how this affects the rest of the company, because they always dip into parks and resorts to bail them out if things don't perform. They can't.
You have reached peak crazy. People are not going to pay it, especially the annual passes. People are like, you know what? It's not worth it to me to pay 27% more for the times I go. And unless you like live in Orlando and you're there all the time or it's your job, I don't think a lot of people are going to stay. Because I mean, and they offer oftentimes special price tickets. You get like 5 tickets for a price you can use whenever if you're a Florida resident. You might, people are going for that instead of the annual passes.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just not worth it, and people are just getting to a place where they're just, you know what, Disney Plus or Disney Parks, they can't, they're Disney, every other movie's Disney, and then it's like they keep raising the prices, they keep owning everything, and people are just getting tired. It's not as special as it used to be, and it's a lot more expensive than it used to be, and people are just like, I can go to the park that's an hour from my house and stay there for 2 days, 3 days, and it cost me like a fraction of what I'd spend.
Yeah. And I'm kind of looking at Universal now, because Universal is becoming a better alternative, I think, for a lot of families. Because up to this point, at least, their prices haven't been insane.
SeaWorld, too.
Yeah, SeaWorld, too. So there are other options. But this is going to be interesting because, again, Star Wars did not bring the people like they thought it was going to. And you can try to say, well, it's just general decline. It's just a general decline in the parks. But if Star Wars had the appeal of Harry Potter, people would have made a trip to Disney World just to go see it.
I mean, you can argue that the cows come home is only because of the expense, and I think that's a big part of it. I honestly think people are just sick to death of Star Wars.
Yeah.
The movies have, no matter who I don't know who they're talking to. The first one, yes, Force Awakens did really well. I do not think people like The Last Jedi to the extent they think they did. I don't care who you are. And now even the media is admitting it wasn't the hit that everybody's claiming it was. And people are starting to get excited again about the TV shows, but it's going to take a while to get people back there because people are burnt out. They're burnt out. They're burnt out on Marvel too, and now we're gonna do Marvel Land, and people are just burnt out because you can't keep slamming this at people and expect them to keep forking over money.
But the problem is that Disney has gotten to a point where it's so big now that they have to, like, their margins have to be incredibly high. They have to keep bringing in, like, every movie has to be $1 billion movie, or it's not worth making because they're too big.
But is every movie a real $1 billion movie is the question, because there's all these rumors about the sold out theaters being empty. I'm just saying, and clearly there's some fishy stuff going on with Rotten Tomatoes too, and regards to Disney. So is it really the big, and all these blogs that, you can say nothing wrong, about Disney, or, everything's peachy. It's just, I don't think it is what it is kind of thing. And the merchandise stuff I have a problem with, I admit. And Disney, I know you're probably listening. If you want anybody to review your merchandise, especially Haunted Mansion things, Loungefly bags, Alex and Ani, Vera Bradley, those are my things. You can reach me if you contact shout out at clownfishtv.com. I will happily review any of your merchandise, and I will be honest and fair. So you're more than welcome to send anything over, and I will gladly review it for you.
Okay, what's gonna happen though? They're gonna be like, "What's your name again?" Okay, you're banned from ever coming into the parks.
No, because if they're gonna be smart, they're gonna realize you can't. The naysayers, it's like when somebody goes out publicly and they say something bad about something, and then suddenly they end up dead. Then everybody knows that who did it. You can't do that, because if you have people that are like us who are like, we're critical and we're calling out crap, but we also do other things we like, you're probably better off to try to, to send some stuff out to get fair opinions, because, if you want people to actually to read things because they want things that are fair, they're going to read those blogs. So I'm just saying.
Hey, they're going to get mad at Pete Warner before they get mad at us.
If I get banned, everybody's going to know it's because you didn't like what I had to say, and then they're going to be more mad at you. So you can't do that. But you're smart if you send me stuff, because I will be fair, and everybody knows that I am fair about it. And I will be fair. If it sucks, I'll say so. If it's good, I'll say so.
It's just your way of getting free stuff.
It is. But I will be fair and honest.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up.
You're laughing at me. I'm serious. They can send me whatever.
Okay.
Those Host-A-Ghost jars? I've heard mixed reviews on those. I will give you my own mixed review.
Geeky can be bought. Geeky can be bought.
No, I will still be honest. I will be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it because they give me something. But I'm saying there's a lot of pros and cons as host to ghost. I will gladly give my opinions of pros and cons on the host to ghost.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah, I need to take medicine.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. Check out piratesandprincesses.net, Geeky's objective.
I am objective. It sounds like I'm not. I truly am.
Objective Disney parks and Orlando theme parks blog. We definitely could use some support. We got to get these numbers up here, so check her out over there. And we're gonna say goodbye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.